Hello everyone, this is the Casual Gamer. Before this episode gets started, I would like to apologize in advance if the audio is not up to par. I'm testing out Audacity, and for the most part, it's working well, but I'm just still getting the hang of it. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Also, if you hear like a bed creak noise in the background, that was just me standing up and sitting back down. So please be mindful as you listen to this episode. Thanks in advance, and now enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talk While Gaming. I am the Casual Gamer, and first I would like to apologize for not making videos in the recent weeks. I was stressed out for the most part, and I didn't really know what episode that I wanted to make, let alone what to talk about. But I'm back now, and I really don't have a set schedule of when I'll make another video, but I'll do my best to keep you all posted. Please bear with me as I try to do all that I can. If you like this episode and you would like to hear more in the upcoming weeks and days to come, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And for this episode, I would like to talk about the time I worked in housekeeping for 2 years. I had graduated from community college in 2015 with an associate's degree in computer information systems. And no job was willing to hire me with the limited experience that I had at the time. The only skills that I did have was working in housekeeping. So, as much as I filled out as many applications as I could, I didn't receive at least a callback or a consideration for the interview. But nevertheless, I didn't start finding any kind of work until 2 years later. The year, I think, was 2017. And I finally got an interview for this housekeeping job that I applied for. I got the job, of course, and everything seemed going according to what I had in mind, which is find a job, save some money, do my best to make use out of a situation that I was involved in. And I felt that life was good for the most part. When I first started working, I was designated to a location where I just did general housekeeping, such as pulling trash, cleaning the men and women's bathroom, uh, vacuum cleaning most of the carpets and rugs. The main focus for this story is why did I quit this job after working there for 2 years? Let's get started. I was assigned to a partner, an elderly woman, of course, and we got along as civil as we could be. She cleaned her side of the building, and I cleaned the other side of the building that we were designated to. It was October during my first year of working there, and we were instructed to use a cleaning chemical where we have to break it down into 2 bottles. One full bottle had to be poured halfway through an empty bottle and fill the 2 bottles with water to balance it out so we could stretch out our supplies for the upcoming days and weeks that follow. The mistake I've made was not doing as I was told. Again, I'll admit that that was my mistake on my end. But instead of the elderly woman just being calm and cool about it and working with me as I'm trying to get the hang of the job, instead, she was quite evil about it, to be honest. Here's how it went. I misunderstood the instructions and I picked up the bottle. She saw what I was doing, and then Instead of just being calm and cool and collected about it, she did this. She whispered in my ear, basically saying,
"You weren't supposed to do that."
And as she was about to walk off, she shouted from the top of her lungs,
"You were told explicit instructions of how to do this, but I guess you weren't paying attention, were you?"
and she just walked off. Now, when I'm working on the job, I'm as cool and collected as professional as the next. But for that very moment, I was hot. Like Ghost Rider from the comic books, whose head is on fire, hot. Because for those who don't know, I really don't tolerate disrespect and that tone from anyone, regardless of who I'm working with or who's older than me. The way I see it, it's this. If I come to you with the same amount of respect and courtesy and professionalism, I expect the same thing in return. If my partner and I could do that, we get along great. But for that instant, I was angry and upset. Fortunately, it was on a Friday, and I figured cooler heads will prevail, so I took the whole weekend to calm down and gather my thoughts. Now let's fast forward to that Monday. I told the woman that I was working with, I need to talk to you about something, if you don't mind. She said,
"Okay."
but I also added, I'd rather talk to you later when you're not too busy. So she she came to me while I was doing my portion of the building. And she was like,
"Okay, what is it that you want to talk about?"
so I basically told her that what you said on Friday was totally out of line and disrespectful, and I did not appreciate that one bit. And I basically told her you were out of line. And although she tried to explain herself and I was willing to listen to what she had to say, the end result was this. She was in the wrong and she apologized for it and mentioned that she'll try to communicate with me properly the next time. And I said, apology accepted, no harm, no foul. Let's try to be more professional in the near future. So that was the end of that conversation. Now, fast forward to the next year. I was pulling my trash, gathering it up, and walking to the opposite side of the building where the trash section is. And when I say trash section, it's where most of the trash are supposed to be dumped after usage. She comes out from her section where she was mopping the floors and she's angry looking at me saying,
"Why did you walk on my mopped floors?"
and she just stormed off to another part of the room that she was walking to. And of course, I tried to keep a level head about it. As soon as she popped back out, I said, Ma'am, I did not walk on your floors. So, for a brief moment, she asked,
"Okay, why are you here?"
So I pointed to the trash bin and said, I'm just here to dump the trash. She turned around and there was the trash bin. And realizing her mistake, she said, I apologize. And I was like, no problem. We're good. You see, during the second year of me working for the job, I was already putting the gears in motion of going back to college to work on my bachelor's degree. I just needed the motivation or a reason to go ahead and do it. And for her to show that kind of display of communication towards me basically gave me more reason to do what I need to do. So basically, those were two strikes of debating should I stay at the job or should I keep moving forward with my plans. Now, in between the first to the second year, I was also given the opportunity to work another shift, which was bus detail, which basically is this. And I'm sure those who working in housekeeping may have a different definition of bus detail, but the task that I was given was pulling the trash from inside the bus, wiping the seats down if there's filth on it, wipe the windows, mop and sweep the bus floor, and basically general housekeeping as a whole. I'll get to the point of this story. During the second year of doing bus detail, the bus maintenance man was basically asking another partner that I had and I to wipe the dashboards of the buses. Now, mind you, there were 13 buses, which wasn't really much of a problem, but my partner and I didn't have a set schedule of how often do the dashboards need to be wiped. The fault falls on me because I didn't tell my partner to wipe the dashboards because on this particular day, the maintenance man basically saw me getting my materials together and he said,
Your partner didn't take care of the dashboards.
so I looked him dead in the eye and said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Now, mind you, I was calm as professional as I could. He was not. What he did was, you know how a parent finger gestures a child to get over here? That's what he did. I did not take too kindly to that. But of course, on the job, I remained professional. So I walked with him to one of the buses. He showed me one of the dashboards that was mighty dusty. And instead of just saying, take care of it for me, please, or being courteous about it, he just shouted in my ear.
The dash! The dash! She didn't take care of the dash!
So I looked him dead in his eye one more time and told him, I will take care of it. Now, mind you, he did not apologize for that outburst, let alone any type of consideration for the way that he acted. But remember when I said that I needed a reason for why I needed to leave the job and do what I needed to do? Well, that was that third reason. Again, I say, if a person can't come to me with professionalism and the same level of respect as I would approach them, then it's done. It's a wash. Game over. I can't work with someone who's not going to be as professional with me. So from that point onward, the gears were in motion. I got to leave this job because if I stay too long, then my sanity would be questioned. So that's what happened. I believe that someone in the comments will say,
So you quit the job because you got sensitive and in your feelings?
or something to that effect. And I ask you this question. You work for a job, you put your best foot forward, keep your head down, stay out of trouble, and do the best you can. And you are talked to as a scrub, someone who basically is less important than the common bug. Would you stay on a job like that? Let's see. Between the month of April up until July, I made some calls, filled out some paperwork, and actually went to the school's orientation to see the programs that they have and everything that came along in the process. For the most part, I enjoyed it. I felt like I can be who I want to be as long as I put forth the effort and the same drive that I did in the bus detail and housekeeping job that I had. So, on the month of July, I typed up my resignation and followed the proper procedure as the job orientation detailed, such as give my resignation to my supervisor at least 3 to 4 weeks in advance on the day that I was leaving the job itself. And for the most part, I did all that I was required of me. Surprisingly, most of the people that I've worked with and actually got along with wish me well, high five, and wish the best of luck for me as I move on to the next part of my life. The woman that I mentioned earlier in this story, she was very supportive and wished nothing but the best for me. You see, the elderly woman that I mentioned in my first story was like a second grandmother to me. Although she can have a sharp tongue at times, she means well, but she's a straight shooter and doesn't hold back her punches most of the time. But a little honesty doesn't hurt anyone. and I do admire her for that. But nevertheless, she wished me well, and it's like when a parent is saying goodbye to their child when they're about to go to college or when they are about to get married. I honestly believe that she wanted to cry, but she tried to keep a strong face for my sake. And for the most part, it was okay. Now, as for the bus maintenance man, here's this. It was my last week on the job, and I was doing everything that I could to make sure that the buses were taken care of for the next driver to use. And although I may paraphrase a little bit, the maintenance man basically said this.
Congratulations on going back to college. Do you know who's going to take care of the buses when you leave?
I replied with, I don't know. Because I don't really have an ear for what goes on in the office. So that's what I told him. A simple, I don't know what will happen next. And he basically said the same thing every other day during the last week of me working on the job. And it was quite clear that I was making the right decision. Now, I don't know if he was supporting my decision to move from one part of my life to the next, but deep down I felt he just needed someone to take care of the buses. It doesn't matter if it was me that was taking care of them or not. And for the most part, I just felt like I'm making the right choice, regardless who was supporting it or not. This was the type of job that would pay their employees every week instead of every 2 weeks. And because of the shifts that I was working, I was bringing home between 300 to 400 a week. Now, that's good money. And anyone who would say that, I would agree. Yes. But I left because my work schedule and my class schedule didn't get along, which is all the more reason I had to make a choice that was best for me. And given those three instances that I was involved in, it was time for me to do what I need to do for myself with no regrets. Now, this story was not a jab at the men and women who work in housekeeping or general labor or any type of job, but this was my story and how I went about it. So I asked you, all the listeners, this question. What would you do in the situation similar to mine? And what would you have done differently? Would you have taken a different course of action or what? Let me know in the comments below. Let's have this conversation going through there. And as always, keep the comments classy and respectful. No disrespect to everyone. I know this episode is a bit different, but I'm going off script so I can be as honest as I can possibly be. In closing, be good to one another, like, share, and subscribe, and for the most part, everyone be well, stay safe, and stay golden. And also, cheap plug, I have a Twitch channel. The link will pop up on the screen if it hasn't already, and will be in the description section. Once again, everyone stay awesome, be good to one another, and stay golden. Peace.